Chapter 1. 1 day ago. The sudden blast from outside startled Claire so much that she had to bite back a little scream of surprise. She sat bolt upright in her chair behind the nurse's station, looking to the vacant seat to her right. That seat was usually occupied by Franny Ayres, but Franny was currently down the hall in Mrs. Kuntz's room. Franny would have teased her to no end for jumping in such a way. After all, it was just a little thunder. And apparently, she wasn't the only one this sudden burst of thunder had frightened. She heard several gasps and comments coming from the different rooms of Troutman Hospice Care. The loudest of these was from cantankerous old Mr. Livingston, all the way down at the end of the hallway. The man rarely spoke more than a sentence without dropping 2 F-bombs, something she and Franny and a few of his family members had tried to stop him from doing, but he always ignored them. He was unleashing a few now, complaining about this sudden thunderstorm. It had started as an almost pleasant late afternoon storm. Being late October, the temperatures were fluctuating quite a bit, from low 30s in the morning to low 70s in the afternoon. So some storms were to be expected, but this one had snuck up and surprised everyone. Now, 3 hours after the first rumble, it was 10:05 at night, and the thunder and lightning was putting on quite the show. A slight drizzle of rain accompanied it, but the pleasant noise of rainfall was being drowned out. As the hallway fell silent again, Claire heard footsteps approaching from the right. She watched as Franny came walking back to the nurse's station, already rolling her eyes. "And how is Mrs. Kuntz?" Claire asked. Franny plopped down in her chair and shook her head. "She believes there's a conspiracy against her, because we are currently out of diet ginger ale. She also seems upset that we can do nothing to silence the storm." "Yeah. Mr. Livingston seems pretty upset about that, too." "How many F-bombs did the last blast get out of him?" "2 that I heard." The entire conversation was all in good fun. They had to inject some humor when they could because, though the management at Troutman Hospice Care was top-notch, the fact remained that they were working with people who didn't have much longer to live. On any given week, they could watch 2 or 3 people wheeled out on gurneys destined for a funeral home. Sometimes they'd received a new arrival only to have them pass away within 2 or 3 days. She'd been working here for nearly 3 years now, mostly on the night shift, and she'd lost count of how many residents had passed away. But then there were some, like Mr. Livingston and Mrs. Kuntz, that refused to go peacefully. And while Claire cared a great deal for both of them, she knew that only meant she'd feel the loss that much more when they did pass. "If this storm doesn't quiet down soon," Franny said, "it's going to be a rough day for some of them tomorrow." "Yeah, that's what I was thinking, too. Especially Mrs. Kuntz, if she—" Claire was interrupted by a spectacularly loud blast of thunder, followed by a flash of lightning that briefly illuminated the hospice hallway via the one long window slightly to their left. Claire could feel the rumble of it through her set, but before she could focus on that, the lights flickered. She and Franny shared a nervous look. This job became significantly harder if there was no power. Nearly everyone on the hall was connected to monitors or machines of some kind. They had 2 people they could call in such emergencies, medics that could run continuous checks on each patient around the clock until the power was restored. But that would make for a long night for everyone, Claire and Franny included. Claire reached for her phone to send a text, a group text that she'd send to the medics, the owner, and the day shift manager. The sooner they got here, the better. And even though the power wasn't out, it was better to be safe than The lights flickered again, and then went out completely.